You open the refrigerator and find almost nothing. One piece of bread, half a bowl of leftovers. Maybe enough for one person, but not enough for everyone. Now remove the refrigerator, remove the supermarket, the delivery app, the emergency snacks, and the quiet belief that more food will appear tomorrow. You are sitting beside a weak fire in a prehistoric camp. The hunt failed. The traps are empty. The roots are thin. Everyone is hungry. There are children nearby, a pregnant woman, an injured adult, an older person who cannot walk far, and the hunter who spent the entire day searching. Only a small amount of food has returned. Who eats first? The obvious answer seems simple. Maybe the hunter, because he found it. Maybe the strongest adult, because the group needs strength. Maybe the children, because they are vulnerable. Maybe everyone receives exactly the same amount. But ancient hunger was not a simple fairness test. It was a test of whether the group could survive itself. Archaeology cannot show us a neat line of people waiting for dinner. Animal bones, stone tools, and hearths can reveal butchery, transport, and shared activity. They cannot tell us exactly whose hand reached for the first piece. So researchers use several kinds of evidence together. Archaeology shows what ancient humans carried, processed, and left behind. Human biology shows who depends on others most. And ethnographic studies of recent hunter-gatherers reveal the kinds of rules people use when food is unpredictable. These societies are not frozen copies of the Stone Age. Their customs differ, and their environments differ, but they help us understand one important problem. When one person succeeds and everyone else fails, what stops food from becoming power? Anthropologists Michael Gervin and Adrian Jeggi describe food sharing as a central part of hunter-gatherer life. Hunting and gathering are uncertain. A person may return with plenty today and nothing tomorrow. Sharing reduces that risk. You feed others on your lucky day. The group feeds you on your unlucky day. That sounds like generosity. Sometimes it was, but generosity was only part of the system. In many groups, the person who found the food did not have complete control over it. James Woodburn studied societies in which equality was actively protected. Among the Kung, meat could move through the camp in repeated waves of sharing until many people received a portion. The successful hunter might receive respect, but he could not always turn one kill into permanent authority. The food belonged partly to the person who found it, partly to the people who helped, and partly to the social rules of the camp. This creates the first surprise. The best hunter did not always eat first. Among the Ache of Paraguay, researchers documented wide sharing of meat. In some forest contexts, hunters were even expected to avoid eating parts of their own kill because of a taboo connected to future hunting success. That rule was not universal. Ancient humans did not all live by one code, but it proves that the modern idea of, "I caught it, so it is mine," is not the only logical response to hunger. Sometimes the person who produced the food had to step back. So did the children eat first? Children had powerful claims on food because human children remained dependent for a very long time. They cannot simply leave camp and replace the calories they need. A hungry adult may become weaker. A hungry child may stop growing. But even this does not create one universal rule. Food may have passed through mothers, close relatives, cooking groups, or whoever controlled a particular portion. Some children stayed close to the cooking area and received small shares as food moved through the camp. That is not the same as a formal ceremony where every child was served first. It was often more flexible, more social, and less orderly than that. Pregnant women could also receive special priority. Among the Hadza, Woodburn recorded strong sharing rights for pregnant women. Other research shows that some foraging groups gave privileged access to particular people, including pregnant women, relatives, in-laws, or members of a working group. The reason was not always sentimental. Pregnancy creates an immediate biological cost. Feeding one hungry person could also mean feeding the future of the group. Then there were the injured and the old. In a world without hospitals, retirement homes, or stored medicine, an injured person could become dependent very quickly. Neanderthal skeletons show that some individuals survived serious injuries and long-term disability. Shanidar I, found in Iraq, lived with major physical impairments for years. He had difficulty using one arm, problems with vision, and injuries that would have made independent survival difficult. Someone helped him. Someone shared food, protection, time, and labor. This does not prove that injured people always ate before healthy adults. It proves something more important. Ancient human groups were capable of supporting people who could not immediately repay the cost. But starvation changes everything. A normal hungry day is not the same as a season of failure. When food becomes truly scarce, kindness becomes expensive. Every bite given to one person is a bite removed from someone else. At that point, several rules may collide. Need says feed the child. Future survival says feed the skilled hunter. Biology says protect the pregnant woman. Compassion says support the injured person. Fairness says divide everything equally. Kinship says help your own family first. And fear says keep enough for yourself. Which rule wins? The answer probably depended on the type of food, the size of the group, the relationships inside it, and how long the shortage had lasted. A few gathered berries could remain inside one family. A large animal was harder to hide and more likely to be shared broadly. A small piece of food might go directly to a child. A large kill might be divided according to rules connecting the hunter, the tool owner, relatives, and the wider camp. Sharing was not one behavior. It was a negotiation. And now the question changes. The real problem was probably not, who deserves the first bite? The real problem was, how do we divide this food without destroying the cooperation that will be needed tomorrow? That is the major reversal. The first bite mattered, but the next hunt mattered more. A hunter who kept everything might be strong tonight and abandoned next week. A group that always fed only the strongest might lose children, injured relatives, and knowledge held by older members. A group that divided every piece perfectly equally might ignore urgent biological needs. Ancient humans were not solving a mathematical puzzle. They were protecting a living network. The group needed hunters, gatherers, caregivers, children, experienced elders, and people willing to share when luck changed. This is why hunger did not always produce a simple dominance hierarchy. Food was also reputation. Everyone saw who shared. Everyone remembered who hid food. Everyone knew who helped during illness and who refused. In small communities, selfishness could not disappear behind a closed door. A person could win one meal and lose trust. So who ate first when ancient humans were starving? There was no single universal answer. In some groups, vulnerable people may have received priority. In others, food followed kinship, work roles, ownership customs, or the decision of the person distributing it. Hunters did not always control their own kills. Children were important but were not always served through a fixed rule. Pregnant women sometimes held special claims. Injured people could receive costly long-term support. And in severe starvation, normal rules may have weakened or broken. The safest answer is not a name. It is a principle. The person who ate first was determined by the social system the group was trying to preserve. Modern life hides this problem from us. You buy food with private money. You store it behind a private door. You eat without everyone around you seeing what you have. The rules still exist, but they are buried inside prices, wages, supermarkets, charities, welfare programs, and supply chains. Ancient people faced the moral calculation directly. They could see the hungry child, the exhausted hunter, the pregnant woman, the injured elder, the last portion near the fire. They could not pretend the decision belonged to someone else. So return to that nearly empty refrigerator. One piece of bread, half a bowl of leftovers. Not enough for everyone. The question is still familiar. Who needs it most? Who earned it? Who can wait? What happens tomorrow? Ancient humans did not always answer correctly. They were not naturally fairer, kinder, or wiser than us. But they understood one thing that modern abundance often lets us forget. A meal can feed one body. The rules around that meal decide whether people remain a group.